सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om. So in the last few sessions we had seen an introduction to Drig Drishya Viveka. We started by thinking about what is that one pursuit which is unquestioned, nirvivada. Vivada means question, nirvivada means unquestioned pursuit, and that was the pursuit for happiness. This pursuit is very natural to everybody, but where we seek happiness differs from person to person. It takes several lives, a lot of punya karma to first of all get a human body, and after getting a human body to have a vision that scriptures will give us what we are looking for, which is happiness. How it will give us? It will point out to our own self, which is that absolute source of happiness. So when the student goes to a teacher seeking answers to his question, the teacher gives the teaching saying Tat Tvam Asi. That is a Mahavakya, the great identity revealing statement you call in Upanishads. But what happens is, first of all, the student needs to understand what is a teacher meaning by the word Tvam. When he says you are that, in the word you, what does he mean? Does he mean this body? Does he mean the mind? Or is he talking about something else? So if I'm clear about that, then I will be able to benefit from this teaching. And most of the times, there is a mix-up which is happening when I utter the word I. So when I say I, it would either refer to this gross body, or it will either refer to my sense organs. Sense organs means different parts of the body, which is subtler. Or it will either land up in mind. So when I say I, this is what I am familiar with. Text like Drig Drishya Viveka will help us separate what is the real I from that which we have erroneously included in I. So that is the purpose of Drig Drishya Viveka. Listening to the teachings of Upanishad and coming to a firm conclusion that Upanishads are talking about Mahavakya as the central theme is called Shravanam. So Shravanam is we sit down and listen to the teachings of Vedanta And first of all, have a conviction that Vedanta will give me what I'm looking for, which is happiness. And more we remind ourselves of this purpose, more enthusiastic we will be and sincere we will be in studying Upanishads. So one is having this conviction, and second is understanding clearly that the main essence of Upanishad is in Mahavakya. That is Shravanam. Having heard about Mahavakya, I am still not able to accept the fact or own up the fact that I am consciousness. I am that all-pervading Brahman. So I have to do some more thinking on how I am Brahman. This thinking process is called as Mananam. Having heard the Mahavakya, to internalize the teaching of Mahavakya, I have to start doing Mananam. So Drigdrishya Viveka is helping me in this second step now. It won't create anything new. Drigdrishya Viveka will not create Sakshi, neither will it create the objects, nor will it create sense organs. All of them are already there. It will just systematically present what is already experienced. There is something called as Nirmana and something called as Pramana. Nirmana means something which I have to create. Let us say I don't have some kind of siddhi. I don't actually, but let us say I want to get some kind of siddhi. Siddhi means, supernatural powers. All yogis, what they want. Or some of the yogis, what they aim for. So that is nirmana. Being able to see in the future. All of that are siddhis which will have to be created. Pramana is that which just reveals a matter of fact as it is. So Vedanta is Pramana, Vibhaga, and not Nirmana. So Nirmana means I have to create something. Pramana means only knowledge is sufficient to understand that I am already of the nature of happiness. So that is the second step, which is Mananam. And third natural progression of this Mananam is, once I have gotten those convictions, once I'm clear about what is my identity, all I'm left with is to own up this identity now, more and more. That is the purpose of meditation. Dissociating myself through knowledge from the body, from the mind, and owning up my nature as Sakshi, that is the purpose of meditation, Nididhyasanam. And we have been seeing that if this Viveka is not clear, if there is a mix-up, my interactions will also be inappropriate. Inappropriate meaning it will be sorrowful. Just like how we saw the examples, when two things get mixed up and I don't know, I will end up, erroneously interacting with that mixed up entity. We saw that brown sugar and sand both getting mixed up. I can neither benefit from the sand nor from the sugar. Green chili and green beans, both getting mixed up. There will be a lot of erroneous transactions. So that is where we need a text like Drigdrishya Viveka, which will do this separation for us. And if you just see, Drigdrishya Viveka, by the way, is a Prakarana Grantha. It will help us understand more about Tvampada, right? All Prakarana Granthas will focus more on Tvampada. Hardly you will find some text, introductory texts which are written, which will focus on Tatpada. You take Viveka Chudamani, Atma Bodha, Saddarshanam. Saddarshanam, what to say? Bhagavan Raman Maharshi always starts from Tvampada. So like that, most Prakarana Granthas will talk more about Tvampada because this is where the mix-up is happening more. This is where I need special effort, more focused effort to distinguish myself from what I am not. So that is the purpose of Drugdrishya Viveka. Okay, so we saw the first verse, so we will chant that verse again. Page number 1. Together we'll chant. Rupam drishyam lochanam druke tadrishyam draktumanasam drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi druge vanatu drishyate. I had mentioned towards the end of the last class that for Drugdrishya Viveka, we don't need many external props because everything is right here. The laboratory is we ourselves. And this is what is expected from a student of a text like Drugdrishya Viveka, that they are able to see what Vidyaranya Swamiji is saying for themselves. So now let us see what Swamiji is saying. Rupam drishyam lochanam druka. So we'll take one rupa, for example. Let's take this phone. It says Rupam Drishyam. This object is seen. And who is the seer? Eyes are the seer. Lochanam Druk. So in this simple process of seeing an object, Vidyaranya Swamiji is saying there are 3 pairs of seer and seen which are involved here. Simply we can say, I see this phone. So he systematically is presenting this statement, I see this phone, into 3 pairs. Okay, the first pair was, this is the seen, drishya, and eyes are the seer. And eyes, as I mentioned last time, it is referring to ability to see, not the physical eye, but the ability to see which is expressing through these physical eyes. In other words, it's called Jnanendriya. Okay, so that is the first seer. Eyes are the first seer, and the cell phone is the seen. Second seer seen pair, Tad drishyam draktu manasam. Tat is referring to eyes. Okay, the ability to see is also known by whom? By mind. And Vidyaranya Swamiji, what he will do now is, every quarter of this verse, he will elaborate with one full verse. Okay, so first quarter what we saw, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Druk. Second verse of this Drugdrishya Viveka will elaborate that, what he means by Rupam and so on. So Tadrishyam Draktumanasam. Eyes are seen, mind is the seer. That also, third shloka, it will be elaborated. Drishya dhivrittayaha sakshi. Dhivrittayaha drishyaha of sakshi. Means these thoughts of the mind also become known. Thoughts of the mind also become known. I know there is a calm thought. I know there is a happy thought. I know there is a disturbing thought. All types of thoughts, most importantly, it is known. This is the apurvata you call, or the uniqueness of Drugdrishya Viveka. The central point or the central teaching of Drugdrishya Viveka is this. Drishyaha dhivrittayaha sakshi. And what is the nature of this sakshi? Drug eva natu drishyate. That sakshi is the seer alone, it never becomes the seen. So in the first pair we had the cell phone, which was the seen, and eyes were the seer. But eyes also became seen. Of whom? Of the mind. Okay, so the second pair was between eyes and the mind. Eyes became seen, mind was the seer. And the third pair was, even the thoughts became seen of the mind, and Sakshi was the seer. But this Sakshi, there is no another Sakshi which will become the witness of this Sakshi. That is why it is said, Druk eva natu drishyate. It will never become seen. Now somebody asked Vidyanand Swamiji, where did you get all this definition of Sakshi from? Druk eva natu drishyate. So it is said, this comes from Upanishads. So in Mundaka Upanishad it will be said, Sakshi is yattad adreshyam, agrahyam. So main word is adreshyam. Consciousness is that which will never become seen. Okay, so that is the main literal meaning of this shloka. Now, since, as I mentioned earlier, Vidyananda Swamiji will elaborate on each quarter. So we will come back to this shloka again when we see the other shlokas. So we are not done with this verse yet. So first pair was the rupa, the seen, and the seer was the eyes. Second pair is eyes and the mind. Eyes are the seen, mind is the seer. Third pair is mind and Sakshi. Mind is seen, Sakshi is the seer. That last one, it's very beautiful. How do I know I have eyes? How can I confidently say that I have the ability to see? Because I can see this object. Because I see this object, I don't have to independently establish that I have eyes. In the same way, if thoughts are seen, that itself tells there should be a seer. So wherever there is drishya, drashta has to be there. Many times we have this question that I don't feel consciousness, I don't experience consciousness. So what this is saying is, because thoughts are known, consciousness is ever experienced. Okay, it is because of consciousness we are able to know thoughts. Just like when you say I have or I know an object, that itself establishes I have the ability to see. In the same way, the third seer and seen pair, if I am able to understand that same relationship there, it will help us a lot. Because thoughts are known, there has to be a seer of thought. So we'll come back again to that one. I just mentioned it. Now what we'll do is we'll chant the second shloka. So Vidyaranya Swamiji will now elaborate the first quarter of this verse, which says Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Druk. So what he means by Rupam, that is elaborated in the second shloka. Nilapita sthula sukshma, Nilapita sthula sukshma, Rasva dirghadi bhedatah, Rasva dirghadi bhedatah, Nana vidhani rupani, Nana vidhani rupani, Pashye lochaname kadha, Pashye lochaname kadha, Nilapita sthula sukshma, Rasva dirghadi bhedatah, Nana vidhani rupani, Pashye lochaname kadha. So what all is included in Rupam? So Vidyananda Swamiji says, Neela Pita, different colors, blue, yellow. Neela means blue, Pita means yellow. So different colors that we see, that is included in Rupam. Sthula Sukshma. Sthula means that which is gross. And that which is, Sukshma means that which is very subtle. Okay, all the gross things and also the subtle things, they are included in Rupam. Rasva Dirgha. Rasva means that which is short. Dirgha means you can say tall. All different types of shapes, sizes, colors that we can see is all included in Rupam. Neela Pita Sthula Sukshma Rasva Dirghadi Bhedatah. These are the different varieties. Nana vidhani rupani pashyet lochanam ekadha. So all these different types of forms are seen by this one eye alone. Or ability to see is one, what is seen is many. Okay, Nana Vidhani Rupani Pashyet Lochanam Ekadha. So this is the first seer and seen pair. Okay. So just like, for example, in this phone, you will see all these things can be there. Neela Pita can be there. You know, you can have a phone of black color, blue color, white, all different colors can be there in a phone. Sthula Sukshma, something could be more big, something could be very small, you know, just on a palm it can fit. Rasva Dirgha also, different shapes, sizes, everything can be there in Rupam. All of that is seen by one eye. Now Vidyaranya Swamiji, I had said on the first day, he will take a small step, but with that small step, he will jump very high. Okay. So now you see, the word Rupam is not limited to only one object. So Vidyaranya Swamiji says, whatever we see in this creation, all Rupams are included in this word. Okay, so Raman Maharshi in Saddarshanam would say, Shabdadi Rupam Bhuvanam Samastam. Means this entire creation is in the form of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. But if we try to analyze everything together, we'll get thoroughly confused. So instead of doing that, Vidyaranya Swamiji is taking only one aspect of it. He says, let us take one object and then try to analyze what is the seer-seen relationship. Okay. So Rupam, we should understand, is this entire creation, what we are analyzing here. And through one object, we will build this thought process. Now what we'll do is, I hope the first seer-seen pair is clear. Huh? So seen is what is mentioned by all these different varieties of objects and everything that we see. And the seer is the eye. And in next shloka, he will say, don't just limit it to the eye. Everything that our sense organs can, or different sense organs, include everything in this analysis. Right now, we are just doing it with the eye. We will slowly extrapolate it to other sense organs also. So now, let us come to page number 2. Puja Guruji has given 4 rules, for this seer-seen pair. So we will use those rules as our foundational, platform to inquire into each of this seer-seen pair. Okay, so if you come to page number 2 in the physical copy of the book, so let us look at the first rule. What is that? It says, seer and the seen are different from each other, and the seer can never become the seen, and seen can never become the seer. Seer and seen are different from each other. So apply that rule to this object that we are seeing here. So seer is who? The eye. And seen is this cell phone. Now it says seer and seen are different from each other. Now it looks like a very obvious rule. I know that, why do we have to? But wait, it will become very powerful if we can apply this and understand how these rules are working when it comes to the other 2 pairs that we are going to see. So what does it mean to have different seer-seen pair? Means what is the nature of this phone will never become the nature of my eyes. Means eyes won't start sending messages. Eyes won't start. If color of the phone changes, eyes color won't change. And similarly, opposite also won't happen. Means the phone won't start blinking or shedding tears or anything like that. Means the dharma of seer and the seen are always different. Okay, this is the first rule. Second one is, seer cannot see itself and the seen cannot see itself. Okay, this is the second rule. Means eyes cannot see themselves and the phone cannot see itself. So we always need 2 different. One is the seer, other is the seen. They cannot see themselves on their own. Somebody might raise an objection. I see my eyes in a mirror. But we are seeing only reflection of that eye. It is not the actual eye that we are seeing there. Okay, so that is the second rule, which says seer cannot see itself and the seen cannot see itself. I hope all of you are with me, huh? Because this is early morning class. I'm going on with seer, seen, seer, seen. But this example, if you understand with the phone, we will get great revelations in the third seer seen pair, which will help us in meditation. Okay, so I hope all of you are going along with me, and we are going slow here. We don't need to rush through these. So first one was seer and seen are different. Dharma of seen will never become dharma of eye. Cell phone won't shed tears. Eyes won't start sending messages or start appearing bigger, smaller because cell phone size has become bigger or smaller. Drishya and drashta both have different dharma. Seer and seen, seer cannot see itself and seen cannot see itself. That is the second rule. Now third one is a little tricky, so please note it down. If you are having discussions on this, there is one more word that you need to add to explain this one. Third rule, it says, at one and the same time, one and the same thing cannot become both seer and the seen. So the same thing cannot become seer and the seen. So you should just add one more line here which says within the same pair. Meaning what? If the pair is pair number one, okay, you have the seen and you have the seer, they cannot switch their role. Means the phone cannot start seeing eyes. I'll repeat this again. The rule says one and the same thing cannot become both the seer and the seen. So to understand that, you will have to add one more portion between the same pair. Means between the same pair, the same thing cannot become the seer and the seen. So between cell phone and my eyes will always remain the seer, cell phone will be the seen. They cannot switch their roles. Cell phone cannot start seeing the eyes. Now this, if we understand, I'm jumping a little ahead now because I cannot resist. Go to the third pair. Who is the seen there? Mind is the seen. Sakshi is the seer. What this rule tells is Sakshi will always remain the seer and mind will be the seen. In meditation, we sometimes try to switch the role. Through the mind, we are trying to look at Sakshi. Means what? I want to make Sakshi as an object of knowledge. Just like I'm making this phone as an object of knowledge, now I'm trying to make Sakshi as an object of knowledge. Okay, so that third rule is very powerful. It says between the same pair, we can never switch the role of seer and the seen. Okay, so the phone will never be able to see the eyes. And the last one is the seer is aware and the seen is inert. Aware, what we should understand here is seer has the ability to reflect consciousness. So the eyes can reflect consciousness. That is what is meant by seer is aware and the seen is inert. So this is the analysis of the first seer-seen pair. What was the second one? I know all of you are telling wherever you are. Second one, seer-seen pair is eyes become the seen, mind is the seer. Third seer-seen pair is mind becomes the seen, Sakshi is the seer. Okay, so this is the systematic progression which will be done. And what we will do is, we will try to apply these 4 rules for each of this seer-seen pair. The first one was easy. All these 4 rules, if you can again go through it and apply it thoroughly with any seen object and see how they are building up this thought process, the other seer-seen pairs also to apply will be very helpful. And as I said earlier, the culmination of this understanding will result in clarity during meditation. Okay, we are not interested just in analyzing seer-seen pair. We should remember what was our main prayojanam. Okay, to own up our identity as pure consciousness, and to do that, this seer-seen analysis will be very helpful. Okay, so we'll pause here, and next class also will continue the same thought process. But I hope you get some time to reflect on this also. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. I see a question there. Let me. Where does the image of the cell phone? So question is, can you elaborate on Lochanam? Where does the image of cell phone as the recognition as cell phone happen? So cell phone, whatever images are recorded, that is always in the mind. So eyes are only the instrument. Eyes don't have recording power. It is just like, when you have a camera, where is all the images or the video stored? Not in the lens. It is stored in the hard disk or that, card that we put, SD card. So our SD card is here. You have the mind where through the sense organs or through the eyes, whatever is perceived, that image will be formed there. Okay. Good. I'm glad you're asking these questions. There is another question here. The third point where the seer's seen cannot be switched in the same pair. How does it switch in meditation? Example. What I mentioned is the seer and the seen between the same pair, they will always remain the same. So there are three pairs that we mentioned, right? Between eyes and the object, that is one pair. Between the mind and the eyes, that is the second pair. Between Sakshi and the mind, that is the third pair. So if we apply the same rule here, in the third pair, mind will never be able to look at Sakshi. Just as the cell phone will never be able to look at my eyes. Only the seer between the same pair will be only one. That is what I meant. So in the first pair, if it is clear that cell phone is the seen, eyes are the seer, and it cannot be reversed back. Means the cell phone cannot see the eyes. When we go and sit down in meditation, the third pair seer-seen relationship will become clearer. Generally, what is our understanding sometimes? Through the mind, I want to think about Sakshi. So here it says, mind is seen. Sakshi is the seer. So through the mind, I won't be able to look at Sakshi as an object. Okay. That is what I meant by the third pair. I hope that is clear. If not, we can elaborate more. When the duality disappears, doesn't the different vanish? Yes, difference, everything will vanish. It will come in the later shlokas. See, this is a prakriya. What we should understand is, Druk-drishya viveka is a systematic thought process. It won't leave us in duality or anything. But first, what is happening right now is, I don't see that there are three pairs of seer and seen. Okay, for duality is much later. Right now, I just see this as one thing. I see myself as the mind, myself as the body. So first step it will do is, it will, distinguish things with a very systematic process. And later on, there will be later shlokas which will say that purpose of Drik Drishya Viveka is not to separate Drishya and Drashta and leave it there. Purpose of Drik Drishya Viveka is to know Drashta is real and Drishya is Vivarta. Vivarta means, appearance in Drashta. It will systematically take us there. There are verses which will come. Okay. But the first step is systematically understanding the difference between Drashta and Drishya. Okay. In the second pair, eyes and the mind, are the eyes inert? Yes, that is correct. So the fourth rule was the seer is aware and the seen is inert. So that's why I said awareness here is referring to the ability to reflect consciousness. Okay. So between eyes, that is what we should understand. For eyes as the seer, awareness means seer is aware. What it means is eyes are able to reflect consciousness. Same with the mind also. Mind has got this ability to reflect consciousness. Now the same thing is not applied to Sakshi. Sakshi, it is not said as the ability to reflect consciousness or anything. It is absolute seer. That is why it said Drug eva natu drishyate. Consciousness is the nature of Sakshi. My own nature is Sakshi, which is pure consciousness. So that would be the difference. And later on, when we come to the second seer-seen pair, we will see that eyes become seen. That means what? If you apply the same rule, eyes will become inert. Or the ability to know, that also becomes seen. Okay? All right. But why the mind intellect? That is true. The question is, why does the mind or intellect look for consciousness? It is very natural. Our mind always wants to objectify things. That is what it is used to. You think about any object in this creation which doesn't become an object of mind. There is no such thing. Whatever we are familiar with, whichever secular knowledge that we learn, all of that becomes an object of knowledge. If I want to know something about cars, if I want to know something about the planet, all of that will become a thought which becomes an object of knowledge. So that is why mind is used to objectifying things, and then it wants to objectify consciousness also. Then what are So the question is, in meditation, what are we trying to become aware of if seer cannot be seen? That is the whole purpose. That is why meditation is not independent activity. Whenever we say Nididhyasanam is based on Shravanam, this is what we mean. Knowing thoroughly what is the nature of Atman. Atman is that which is, all of that will come. Okay, in the fifth verse, nature of Sakshi will be elaborated. So in meditation, what the effort is, it is to see those nature, the qualities or the attributes, all these are limited vocabulary. Whatever is defined as nature of Atman, I should see that as my nature. So if it is said, Atman is Asanga. So in meditation, I am trying to own up this fact that as pure consciousness, I am Asanga. It's already a matter of fact. I have done sufficient thinking on how I am Asanga. I'm trying to own that up in Nididhyasanam. Awareness also is a matter of fact. So right now you saw the third seer-seen pair says, mind is drishya, consciousness is drashta. Means mind is seen, consciousness is the absolute seer. So then we should just own that up in meditation. So when thoughts are coming, if some thought comes in meditation, rather than being the thought or owning up attributes of the thought. Thought will be what? Either it will be a happy thought or it will be agitating thought or something. Instead of doing that, process in meditation is to say, I am different from this thought. I am the witness, thought is seen. That is the process of meditation. Vidyaranya Swamiji will elaborate that. He says, Kamadya chittaga drishyaha tatsakshittvena chetanam. Means all thoughts which are, Gurudev used to call it as thought parade. Things are going in front of you and you are able to distance yourself from that thought and own up the nature of Sakshi. Okay? So I think that is Etad Alam. Etad Alam means this much is good for now. And later on, if there are more questions, we'll discuss more. Hari Om everyone.